Oh, it caught me by surprise. I don't know when I hit the live button. All right, folks, we are live. Welcome to Gamers Health, the once a week live stream where we talk about our health and give thoughts, ideas to improve the health of gamers. With me, I'm Rach Tenkar. With me, as always, on Saturday night is my much better half, Rach Tenkar.
Hello.
So, Rachel. Sorry, I was trying to do like the Sega sound, but didn't.
Oh.
Yes, Don, you're the first row. You get those special seats at the comedy show where we get to go, hey. So what does your husband do for a living? And Rachel's like an accountant or some shit like that because she knew we went on our first.
Well, no,
date.
he suggested that. Oh, he must be an accountant. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's an accountant. Yep. Mm-hmm. So later on in the show, we're going to talk about mourning the loss of a dream, and what we're going to be talking about.
We'll lay that out.
Yeah. But it's going to be, this can happen at any point in your life. Usually, it happens when you hit a milestone in aging. A lot of times, some people
that can be a trigger for it. But I guess what he means to say. Yeah, the topic of tonight's show is sort of grief. It's called ambiguous grief, and so basically what that is sort of like basically the depression that can come, the grief, the mourning that can come from maybe not having certain things that you had dreamed for your life come to fruition.
Right, or it could be loss, right? It could be a huge financial loss.
Yeah. But those are real. Those are not ambiguous.
Like I guess,
loss. But like you actually had it.
It can be ambiguous if it's ongoing and it just kind of, if
you never you envision yourself to have all these things, but it never like quite happened. That's kind of what we're talking about, and that's like sort of scratching the surface,
right?
A lot of women experience this, like maybe around having children or certain types of relationships in their life, that they don't find it in the way that they had envisioned it for themselves.
I was going to say something like you thought you were going to suddenly be granted $1 million and then you find yourself $1 million in debt. I mean, something like that is...
Oh, yeah. That's really painful. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. There are so many parallels, people. We'll hit it all.
It's like getting kicked in the nuts twice. God, it's like... You could have just stopped at the first nut kicking, but then the second nut kicking, that wasn't fair. But we'll delve into that. First, we're going to give certain updates. Rach, we got back Rachel's biopsy results. So
yeah, so maybe a week and a half ago, I had my breast tumor removed, which was cancerous. Along with a margin of tissue that was surrounding the tumor, and the one sentinel lymph node that was draining and
processing the fluid.
Yeah, thank you. And so they all came back negative.
When she says all, the tumor,
except for the tumor,
the tumor itself, but that was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, we knew that. But the margin around the tumor and the sentinel lymph node was negative for cancer. So that means that there's not really the possibility that it would have spread through my entire body, like there's not metastasis, like there's it hasn't spread to any other part of me. So we caught it early enough to be able to
stop it in its tracks,
kick it to the curb, as the doctor said. My surgeon said, we're kicking it to the curb. I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. And so, yeah, it's kicked to the curb. And now the next steps of treatment are to see a radiation oncologist, which will more than likely recommend some radiation. It seems like a standard of care for breast cancer. At the stage that I have it is stage like 1. And also, let's see, a medical oncologist they refer me to. This is somebody who would, I guess they go over like chemotherapy or hormonal therapy. There's 3 different types of therapies that they can offer to these things, make sure that there's no recurrence of the cancer, or like try to minimize the recurrence of cancer between the radiation and the medicine. So for a lot of women like who have cancers that are reactive to hormones like estrogen or progesterone, that's good because it opens up that line of treatment of like, I guess, I think it's generally tamoxifen. And then just you stay on that for 5 years and stay cancer free for 5 years, and then you're good.
Yeah.
So that in a nutshell is what's going on.
So we'll know more as the end of the month gets here.
Yes, what they all want me to do.
So we had the default because the surgery was in Manhattan, and it's a large network with NYU Langone, but they defaulted to making these appointments for the oncologist and the radiation oncologist in Manhattan. And the only issue with that, coming from somebody who was a cancer survivor and went through chemo and radiation, I was like, radiation is going to be daily, probably for a couple of weeks. As Rachel's lesser half and unofficial official chauffeur, Manhattan fucking sucks. Okay, my head's going to be on a swivel just trying to avoid getting a summons, which at some point I will not be able to avoid it because I'll be sitting on a hydrant, sitting in a loading zone, sitting on a no standing zone.
Well, it makes it hard for him to participate.
Right, I can't go into the office.
Yeah.
So we're getting the appointments.
The appointments are scheduled here in a neighboring neighborhood, and the radiation for like just the next county over, because it's an easier ride.
With parking,
yeah, so that he can be able to come in and be a part of. I was like, oh, maybe I should just leave it all there, I'll be okay on the train. And then like he was telling me, you have support, why not take it?
Use it. Yes.
Yeah. And then because I tend to default to like, oh, I want to do it all by myself, but I don't need to do that.
You don't need to. So listen.
I mean, I like the idea. Like, I know that they have like this integrative health. Like they have like in Manhattan, I was reading they have like yoga and like 2 yoga classes in a week. They have nutrition, lymphatic massage. They have different adjuncts to your treatment that can help you feel better, and just different things that can help you keep like address diet or anything that can interfere like or lessen your chances of keeping recurrence of cancer down. But I'm sure they have that out there. Or if I figure I had one appointment in Manhattan, so I'm registered in there now. So
yeah, there you go.
I can take advantage wherever I want,
yes,
and
you can be everywhere, girl. You can do it all.
Yeah, I'll tell them about the differences between the places. We can help them.
She can do a review.
Yeah,
So,
but they all seem nice. So hey, we take this here, take that there. Other things, I can go on my own into the city. He doesn't have to go to nutrition. He doesn't care about, like, he's not, he cares about nutrition, but he's not going to want to go to that, I don't think.
Oh, look at this. The house is filling up, even with the guns in the house.
All right.
So, again, I had to explain to Rach. We were having some of this conversation, by the way, as we were driving out to Long Island to see our niece. And at one point, with Rach being the strong, self-supportive woman that I was attracted to and married, because I knew that my wife was not one of those wilting flowers that needs hand holding. But there are times when you have to let others be part of the process, especially your significant others, because you are, no surprise when I say it, you are more important to me than me. So for you to go, I could do this all on my own, I wanted to actually pull the car
No,
aside
get the fuck
and
out.
pull alongside on the Grand Central. Actually, it's the Northern State at that point, and just say, "Get the fuck out, start walking, if you're gonna be on your own."
No.
All right, because we take it personal. Right? It'd be
Yeah.
like if when I was
Well, it
going.
means a lot for him to be involved in my care, and you know, uh, he remembers his own process of having someone else with him, your mom,
Especially during the initial
yes, and
consultation.
being in, having another set of ears to hear different things, because sometimes, like, when we hear something, we go to the worst, or
Or just don't. You
we
just don't
just
hear
have
it.
denial.
Right.
Yeah,
You just don't hear it. It's like when I had my initial conflict, when I got diagnosed with cancer after the surgeon, Dr. Lejeune, whatever, the thoracic surgeon who did my biopsy, and then 2 days later he talked to me and he not looked me in the eyes. He told me, "You have cancer. You have Hodgkin's disease." Wouldn't look me in the fucking eye. Sorry, you're not earning points doing that.
No.
So I came home from that. No shame admitting this. I had to drive home with my mother. Chris called me to check up on me and see how I was doing, and I told him everything was fine. Got home, walked upstairs, got to my hallway, threw myself on the floor, and crawled up like a baby and sobbed. Honest to God, that's there's no bullshit there. That was my reaction because it was overwhelming. And then next day, I saw my general practitioner, my GP, my primary doc, and right from the examination room, he goes, "Oh, this is good news." I go, "What? This is good news." And he calls up my oncologist, and they're talking on a first name basis right from the examination room. He's like, "Hey, listen, I got a patient for you. How soon can you see him?" Well, he's in Elmhurst. He goes, "Oh, you're Elmhurst. Next appointment wouldn't be until next week." He goes, "How about your Ridgewood office? Tomorrow. You can make time from tomorrow." And I saw him, whatever, and I didn't hear this, by the way, when he was talking, but he and explaining everything, and he said, and my mother heard this, because then she asked him to repeat it, because I guess she realized I didn't hear it. He goes, "We can cure this. Not, we can put this into remission," because that's what you always hear about cancer. At least I always did. Cancer goes into remission, but it never goes away.
Right.
No, he's like, we can cure this. I was like, I didn't hear that the first time. So that's why you have a second set of ears, because I was just still in this overwhelming state of shock.
And then I also saw like pictures of people's radiation burns. And I'm like, oh, I might be too irritable to take the train like towards the end of it, because like your first week might be okay, but like after a few weeks, you're gonna you might get burns where they administer the radiation, and I don't think I want to be in a train next to someone going,
get out of my way. But also my experience,
not knowing where to put my arms and like being in pain here, and just sort of sitting like this in the train, to protect, like that would suck.
So I mean, my experience, I had chemo and radiation when I had Hodgkin's, and chemo, I thought I had my first day of chemo, and I was like, "This is great." Came home, had pizza. This was like, oh my God, I feel good. And I was fine.
Oh,
first day I was fine. 2 weeks later, I get my second chemo treatment, and I'm thinking it's going to be the same thing. and I had a bowl of homemade stew, and then I was like, I gotta lay down, and then I need a bucket.
Oh,
The only time I got violently ill was that second time.
oh
Then
God!
then
Please, no infusions.
then I learned. But chemo would whack me out. It was on Wednesdays, and by Wednesday evening through usually all day Thursday, I felt like shit. I
So
felt
what happened?
queasy.
Did you fast during those
I-
couple days after that they started to
No,
recommend
the day after
that people fast during that time
the
so
day
that
after
they
I had
till the nausea come under control?
I would have crackers.
Not-
I would have crackers and like chicken soup.
Yeah,
Very light, more like a chicken broth,
yeah.
but then usually by Thursday evening I was feeling more like myself, and usually Friday I was fine.
You were good to go for that week.
Radiation after like the first, like, it was generally supposed to be 5 days a week, but usually 1 day a week the machine wouldn't work and had to cancel on you.
Oh,
But
really? How do you make up that treatment?
they just run it longer.
Oh.
So by the second week, I'd have to come home from radiation and nap for 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, really?
I would just be rock tired. So that was just part of it.
And here I was. I'll go in the city, and they have yoga on Wednesdays. I'll go after, and then
Yeah, no. Mr. Gunn, ginger ale, saltines, and bananas a cure for all that ails you.
Oh yeah, the bananas, the binder.
It's the food that binds you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but listen, at least we're moving in a direction. So I have other appointments that I have to make, and I've been holding off on these appointments because we didn't know what Rachel's schedule takes priority over anything I'm going to do. All right, so I have appointments I have to make with a urologist. I have to make one
And vascular.
And vascular, and I got to bring my car in for an oil change and an inspection. For a month is out, and I needed to know what was going on with Rach and her appointments. Now that her appointments are set, now Monday, the man who, by the way, has phone anxiety, not receiving phone calls, making phone calls, even at places I know
That are meant to serve you.
Yeah, it doesn't make it just doesn't. That's that little insight behind the screen here about me, and nobody's free of anxieties. Okay, this is one that I've had since I was a kid. No idea why. And my mother making me make phone calls didn't help it any. I'm sure.
What do you mean she'd make you make phone calls?
Oh yeah, she'd make me make these. I don't remember what the phone calls were for, but yeah, she would make me make these phone calls.
Like for herself, or like just to encourage you to call your friends,
or whatever. Kind of like they were cold calls, and I.
Oh.
I never did well on cold calls. Yes, Mr. Gunn, I hate making phone calls. They just really, suck. But in any case, so I've been off the Mounjaro now since first week of July.
Oh yeah, this is exciting.
So July, August, September, almost 4 months, and my blood sugar has been going up. And why is it? Because the Mounjaro was keeping my blood sugar in check, where I could go out, I could eat shit. You know what? Hey, Rach, you want to get a double? How about get us some double Whopper meals with onion rings and a large diet soda? How's that sound? I
can't wait for the soda.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that sounds good. What about your blood sugar? Oh, it's already hovering around 85. I need some shitty food to bring it up. Oh, look at that. I hit 150. All right. Now,
so this evening we went to Friendly's.
But yeah, we're going to put this in perspective. For the last 2 months, my blood sugar would not go below 120. It didn't matter if I fasted for 8 hours. I'd wake up, my blood sugar would be 140. By the time I'd eat breakfast, it'd be up to 170. So my blood sugar was finding a new high water mark to settle at. So my endocrinologist, once we sorted out my potassium levels, prescribed a new medication to work with my Farxiga. And the new medication is Januvia. These fucking names are all bullshit names. all I'm going to say. It's like making up names for your D&D campaign. Hey, I think that Elle's name will be Genuvia.
I have boring medication names because it's just the science names because they're
They're
generic.
nice to have your little brand name. Farziga the Dwarf. I really should start using these names. I swear to God, I should start using.
Yeah, build characters in the games.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you'll do pre-gens at the next con.
At the next con. Oh yeah. Actually, you know what? When I run my fantasy trip at North Texas.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to do that. I'll have to make sure they've Farziga
Sky Rizzy.
Sky, but it'd be first name Sky, last name Rizzy. It's like you've got the elf Sky Rizzy. Yeah, but Bacardi the dwarf. No, not that kind of a medication. Okay, I'm talking about the pharmaceutical medication, not the hey. Tip it back with your grape knee-high type of medication. That ain't happening. No.
What do you mean, drank?
Yeah, he wants to do Bacardi and Zima. Zima the Barbarian.
Oh, I was because the grape is.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm making it funny. It isn't always funny. It isn't funny. We gotta explain. Then it loses. Then it loses all the appeal. Even if it had no appeal, it loses whatever little appeal it had. But so I'm taking the Genuvia, and I took it for the first week, and I'm like, this is fucking bullshit.
This ain't doing nothing for me.
This ain't doing shit. And then about a week and a half into it, I'm like, hey,
maybe
my blood sugar went down to 98 after the walk, and then that's a first in about a month and a half.
Yeah, and always stay with the walking. That's always
awesome.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I'm looking at my 7-day numbers, and they're 20 points lower than my 90-day numbers. I'm like, And then I did a little research, and it says that Genuvia can take 1 to 2 weeks, or
to get to a therapeutic
1 to 3
level.
For some people, 1 to 3 months before. So it could be that it's like
that it gradually increase.
Yeah. So we
efficacy, like
we shall see. It's a little. It's not having the same effect on my heart. Now, remember, the Manjaro was increasing my resting heart rate by anywhere from 12 to 20 points, depending on the day. So, getting my heart rate back down, I would say is probably less wear and tear on the heart. Is probably better for it. So. But a lot of these medications have multiple purposes, and it seems like they find out. Oh, look at that!
Shit! Our patent's going to run out this year. We can use it now for this and keep it on patent.
Look, those studies that we pushed to the side a couple of years ago that showed that it helps against it helps those with like congestive heart failure, protects against heart failure and hospitalization. Yeah, bring those studies back. Let's take a nicer look at them, because now we can say, well, now your Farziga is for heart reasons. I was like, oh, jeez. So, 6 of one, a half dozen of the other. What else? We still haven't used our pasta maker yet. It's been too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Hopefully this week things come down a bit. We can use some. We can make some pasta. Our low carb pasta. Looking forward to that. Our Gardine, Gardy. Well, I'm saying Gardine because it's with the Y, and I'm trying to emphasize that it has the Y. But okay. Gardine.
Maybe, I don't know.
Not Gardine.
Gardine.
You say Gardine. I say Gardine.
Because when I hear Gardine, I think INE.
In any case, our hydroponics that's not growing the weed, as some people were asking, like, are you going to grow that smelly skunk weed stuff? No, we're not. However, we are growing herbs. Yes, real, actual herbs.
Not that kind of herb.
Not the kind of herb that I'm talking about the kind of herb that goes into your pizza and shit.
Yeah. Or tea or whatever.
Oh, whatever. So it looks like Tuesday is going to be 4 weeks, and we will be cleaning the container, and then we'll be adding fertilizer as we add fresh water.
Yeah, because all of our babies have uh, done away with their baby leave and now have their grown leaves, and they can only just get bigger now.
Yes. So it's exciting, to get to move on to
Yeah.
that next step, and know that within a couple of weeks, maybe we'll start harvesting some stuff. Yeah. So now,
And when do we get to order more? At the end of this grow cycle, or do
well,
they throw it to monthly?
what will happen? See, here's the issue. Since things are going to be going on different cycles. Damn, you were thirsty, girl.
Yeah.
She was a thirsty girl. Um, you can't. So once we have it established with the fertilizer, we're probably going to have to get I don't want to call it an incubator, but like another grow thing that sits on top of the reservoir. So you would start your new plants
Oh,
there.
could we put the arrow going there? Do you mean like that?
No, because
Oh.
you want to be growing these plants so they could then come in when they're. You can't use the fertilizer on plants that they either have to have roots that are extending 1 inch out of the soilish
Cylinder? Oh.
thing, or have got their true leaves. Otherwise, the fertilizer does more harm than good. So we're going to get a point where we're going to have to get this secondary thing.
Oh, for plants that are a different stage of growth. Okay.
Right.
For the strawberries.
The strawberries.
Mhm.
I wish we could bring in one of our blackberry plants or raspberry plants and have them go year round.
Oh, hell yeah.
That would be dangerous and prickly. But so all right, we're just about halfway, at least 30. We're almost 30 minutes into the show, so maybe we will hit the topic. Now, by the way, just no big. Where are the strawberries? Well, we have a strawberry patch in the backyard, but we don't have them growing inside yet. That's going to be round 2, or quarter 2.
Whenever they throw them out, like whenever they put it for us to be able to take it from the monthly membership,
Right.
that brings the seed thing too.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it.
And we're not talking the where's the ice cream? Where's the strawberries? We're not talking a certain movie where there was like a mutiny. We're not talking that one. Where's the strawberries?
I don't think I know that.
Oh. All right. Well, we may have to. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I'll have to.
What is it called?
Was it? Was that the Kane mutiny? Like, it's not the mutiny on the Bounty. Mutiny on the Bounty.
Oh, I think I saw Kane Mutiny in school, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's with the strawberry. The strawberry was given to the sailors, and it was supposed to be for the captain. Yes, the Kane mutiny. I was right. I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, I think I saw it in high school, and I just didn't remember that.
So yeah, gonna have to rewatch that one. By the way, like things that we have to watch is season 2 of Good Omens. Haven't even started it yet. Loki season 2, episode 3. We got to catch up on. But there's a lot of shows that we're not all that concerned about catching up on. Like the David Eddings series. David Eddings. David Eddings. Oh, he's an author that I read back when I was like in my 20s. But it's the series with remember the four teens that one of them was going to be like the next god or something like that, the next sorcerer supreme. And
what was that? The Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time. There you go. That wasn't David Eddings. Wheel of Time. And Wheel of Time. Swear to God, I don't like any of the characters in that series. It's not a bad storyline, but not one single character is likable to the point that I give a flying fuck what happens to them. Yes, Humphrey Bogart, Fred McMurray. Mac Murray does a great job. Lee Marvin. I forgot that Lee Marvin was in that. Yes, The Wheel of Boredom. Yeah, no. It's kind of like when they had Shannara on, and she was like, "This, I love the books, but man, that was the most boring adaptation of Shannara I've
I
seen."
don't think I know that.
We haven't even looked at Rings of Power because if
I
Rach can't stay awake for the trilogy, she's certainly not going to stay awake for the Rings of Power.
don't
Yeah. Mr. Gunn, round and round the wheel goes, and nobody cares.
know. Nice.
um, so we're going to touch on mourning the loss of. Have we watched V, the spinoff of The Boys? No, we have not.
Mm-mm.
Didn't even realize.
Had no idea that was even there.
Yeah,
We'll have to look at that because that was always exciting.
Yes, even when the boys got really like weird,
It's crazy. Yeah.
it's like he's whacking into the wind. Literally, whacking into the wind. I don't want to know. But we're going to go on to our topic du jour. Mourning the loss of a dream. All right, and there are events going on right now in our
Community?
hobby, our community. Yeah, that
A hobby, yeah.
yeah.
Maybe it's bigger than our community. But.
So I mean, and this goes on for. I can count examples of this. It's like you always wanted to be a pilot ever since you were 6, and you played flight sims. Not me, obviously, but and then as you start getting older, you start realizing the cost involved, and they starts becoming a not realistic. You being a fighter pilot or a commercial pilot or whatever, but you still want that dream. And how do you deal with the idea that you're not going to achieve it now? And here I'm going to throw a curveball to everybody here. A good friend of mine, the individual who introduced me to gaming, introduced me to D&D. Throughout high school, their dream was to become a doctor, specifically a surgeon. And as life would have it, life took them down other paths, and law degree, lawyer, school teacher, all these different paths. And at my age, right?
He's in his residency right
He's in his residency right
God
now.
bless him.
So there are sometimes you go.
It can happen.
I'm not saying it.
However, it is that we find our way back to certain things, or
right.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying it can't. I mean, my dreams when I was younger, I wanted to be a train engineer. That was me. Okay, I wanted to be the guy driving trains.
Oh.
Until I turned like 18, and then I was like went back to I don't know what the hell I want to do. And then I worked retail, and I kind of thought I liked retail. And then I wanted to be a manager in retail until I started working around all the managers in retail.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to do retail. And becoming a cop was never my dream. I was always drilled into my head, get a job with a pension. That was get a union job. And I did, and it was the best job for me. And I'm thrilled that I did it. But when I was in my 20s and actively gaming, I wanted to be a game designer. I wanted to be somebody writing modules. I designed my own. I don't think I ever mentioned this. I designed my own board game, my own version of Dungeon, having played Dungeon, the board game, at the time, and it was going to be a board with cards, and it was index cards that were, and you're going to be able to level up because that was important to how I thought this was going to work out. And I actually had it on the index cards being worked out. I didn't submit it anywhere, and then I got a little bit older, and I submitted a query or two to Shaddis magazine, and Charlie was nice enough to email me back and give me encouragement on the article that I still don't know what it was. I never wrote. And then I became a cop, and then my time for such frivolities became non-existent. And then I retired, and then I was able to write Swords with Relight, and I got
Right.
published
So
in
like your friend, you were able to sort of
to,
find your way back
to it.
to a
Is it
dream.
is
Yeah.
it what I is it exactly what I dreamed? No. It is it more than enough to satisfy my desires at the time and now? Yes.
Mm.
I didn't even have an opportunity to mourn that lost dream when it didn't
Hmm.
happen because it's just life was too busy and it wasn't that big a dream. There are, however, some dreams that are huge that when they don't happen, it could be you're a woman, you reach menopause and you've never had a kid and you thought you always would.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're mourning something that is never going to happen now.
Yeah. It's interesting, like when you think of it, like this type of mourning can be this type of grief can like even be, I think I went through a lot of this as a young kid, like when I was getting to understand um my visual deficit, and as it relates to disability and things like that. So to me it was like, oh well, the doctors say, oh, she'll never be able to drive a car, and that was a big question that my parents would have. Is there any way that we'll be able to get her to be able to drive? Anything that we can do to correct it, or whatever? How can we fix it? And that was often an area of uncomfortability because there was nowhere to go. This is it. you know so just sort of like, I think I went through that morning early of, oh well, you won't be able to drive a car, you won't be able to do this, oh, no contact sports. Um so your dreams kind of change, or you
They can.
sort of change how you look at things. So for me, I'm kind of thankful that that happened early on, so that this way I could be able to be like, well, what the hell else is there? What's my path going to be? And the good thing is that I always had, my parents, family, were always very much like, just do something. And so like as I would do things, try things on, you know, jobs, you know, uh, different classes, different other hobbies. Just as long as you were trying stuff on and seeing like what do you like, what are you good at, what brings you joy, and all that stuff started to come, and it was funny. Like 16 was a really hard time for me because like all the kids in school were driving. It was a um, more rural kind of place to live. And so I was like, felt like the only one not driving. And I probably was the only one not driving. And it's like, oh, it's like, why can't you drive? It's like, well, why do you think?
Huh.
But yeah, so like, it's like I knew that that was what was coming, but like when it happened, it's like, fuck, I can't do this. I can't do that. This profession is probably off limits for me. Oh God, I'm not gonna be a pilot, whatever the case. So like as I went through that, it's like my brothers and sisters all got cars at 16. They all like, yeah, driver's education, all this shit. And so like all that happened. Like I let it go by. It all went by. It's like there wasn't really much for me to do, except, you know, keep schooling, keep working. I worked from 16, in retail, and and of course before that babysitting and everything. But I always, made sure there was something to do, and so the dream would often change. And then like funny, I got to the place where I was completing my bachelor's and encouraged to do a master's degree in social work. And I got accepted, to several schools, but I chose Fordham. And of course that was one of the more expensive. And but yet, it was funny. Like my parents, my father especially, he was like, you know what, she didn't say a word when she was 16. And the other ones were getting cars. I had 3 siblings then. the other ones were getting cars and driving and all that stuff. And she didn't get that. I think we should help her with her master's degree. And so that's kind of like where that stuff comes from, and like how, for me, having grieving those losses early made so much open up for me. So it makes me feel so bad for people who sort of had certain visions for themselves, but were never able to access it.
Right.
Um, like for me, it's like, okay, there was something preventing me, but like, I think it's like once you mourn something, you can see so much more of what a path could be.
I mean, for me, like while working as a cop, I had a goal, an end game that I had planned for myself, and I wanted to retire either out of Intel, the intelligence division, or the counterterrorism bureau. That was my goal. That was what the goal I set for myself. And then I became the father of a almost 14-year-old when Chris's mother passed.
Yeah.
And I needed the banker's hours that I was working. I needed Monday
Mm-hmm.
through Friday, weekends off, uh, day tours, right? I had to be there to help with school, go to all the parent teacher conferences. I had to be involved in the process. So when Chris got older, I recently met Rach, and we are getting married.
He
And
was like 15, 16.
yeah,
Yeah.
met, and then by the time Chris was 18, he was the best
He was the
man.
best man at our wedding.
And now I'm getting married. Now it's like, well, Rach kind of knows me having Monday through Friday weekends off, able to live a normal life.
There
What's
wasn't an incentive
Yeah, that
to
dream,
do
and
it different.
right,
Yeah.
it was at this point I might as well stay where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at and continue doing what I'm doing. Um, Mr. Gunn, you're not commenting too much. That's fine. Tammy, yeah, the top. Tammy, she's here. This topic is close to home.
Mm-hmm.
It's close to home for pretty much everybody.
We all have our losses. We all have our
Yeah,
grief. Whether they're tangible things that we lost or intangible.
you know, and here's the thing: we accept, especially in others. Oh, okay, you lost a parent, a sibling, a child, a spouse. We expect the grief. You lost a pet. All right, we expect the grief. Your relationship ended. We expect the grief.
Yeah.
You didn't get your dream. We don't give a shit about your grief. That's human nature.
Right. We look at the tangibles. We worry about the tangibles, and the intangibles are just like, oh, that's not reality. So it
Right.
wasn't there. So
Move on with it.
yeah.
Life is life, right? And we can say that in regards to others, but not so much
Not
to
to
you can't
ourselves.
say it to yourself. All right.
Because that's the whole thing with the way our brains are wired. Like, you know, if when we envision ourselves, our parts of our brain think, yeah, that's happening or gonna happen. So it's as much of a loss in some ways
Mm-hmm.
as one of the tangible losses.
Right, Mr. Gunn. Realizing your dream is not viable can be freeing. You can
Yeah.
give it up, grieve, and move on.
Yeah.
Yes. However, okay, let's what was the big thing for years, right? We'd hear about men going into they're going through their midlife crisis.
Yes.
What was a midlife crisis? A midlife crisis was grieving for the youth that you never spent doing what you thought the youth were going to do, right? Why does why does a guy in his 50s suddenly buy I don't know, uh a Camaro convertible, right? He's not going to be picking up chicks in it. He's too fucking old. I'm sorry. He's doing it for the life that he felt he left behind. He's mourning his youth, misspent, working hard, and doing his career. I'm not going to name names, but I worked with a chief, good friends with the chief's wife. good friends with the chief. And when he retired from the job, the first thing he did was buy a motorcycle. He bought a Harley because that was always his dream. And honestly, if you've been a cop for 20 plus years, you know you've gone to enough jobs with people on motorcycles
Oh yeah, holy
where
shit.
where they've been killed, injured, crippled, that you never ever want to get on one, especially at that age. But again, midlife crisis. Midlife crisis is trying to achieve those dreams that you should have mourned for later in life. Uh, am I saying that you shouldn't do it? I'm saying you probably have better ways. Midlife crisis almost always involves spending money on shit. There's much better places to spend it on. I gotta say. Um, Don, what is sometimes a positive for loss is it enables you then to have more empathy towards others
Yeah.
when they have a similar loss, and that is true, certainly. And it's not necessarily easy. Listen, I don't even think about the fact that unless I'm trying, it's like I can't reach for shit above my head that I used to be able to reach for a couple of years ago.
Loss of mobility.
Loss of
That's
mobility.
another tangible.
Yeah.
Like it
I
changes your life in certain
yeah.
ways. And
I don't.
accessibility.
I just accept it, and I compensate as best I can. And I have a wonderful wife, Rach, who assists me whenever I have something that I can't do. And that is certainly part of coping with a lot of this, is to have somebody who can have empathy for your grief. Now, they don't have to be like the one that goes, "Oh, well, you always wanted to own a yacht and waste all your money on boating," because yes, boating is a waste of fucking money left and right. It's a money sink. But you don't need somebody to enable that. You need somebody to be sympathetic and have empathy. All right. So I would say that
And maybe scratch that itch in a different way. A safer way than breaking out another $1,000 for a boat.
A month, probably.
A month, yeah.
Easily.
That's another rent to put it in.
Yeah. So there are things like, hey, you always wanted to be a pilot. Well, then take some lessons on a prop plane, and you might find out you don't even like this shit. All right, but at least you can say, well, I never achieved my dream. No, you tried it and maybe you didn't like it. Or maybe you tried it and maybe you get your prop license, your civilian license, not a commercial license. You make plans for your future. You make adjustments as you know that dream is going to happen. You made assumptions about life and time, about being young, about having more time. Always. Exactly, Tammy, exactly. Midlife crisis, I thought it was buying a Corvette, driving it slow in the fast lane, and cheating on your wife. I don't know about that, Mr. Gunn.
Yeah, it's a bunch of acting out.
Yes. Life is what happens when you're making plans. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess that's why the be here now thing is so important.
Yeah. You have to plan for your future, and live in the here and now, and learn from your mistakes in the past. Right? That's about all we can do. Right? Make the best decisions that you can make. Make the decisions based not upon the dream. And let's be honest, okay? If we are honest with ourselves, and we often aren't, when it comes to our health or our dreams, we are often not honest with ourselves. Is my dream achievable? Maybe I'll win lotto. Okay, well, maybe if you win lotto, you can achieve your dreams. There's a limit to what your achievable dreams are, and if you have dreams that aren't achievable, accepting that they aren't achievable,
well, that's the whole thing.
Is part of it too.
That's the whole thing, like sometimes how do I want to say this? it's almost like abusive to yourself to hold on to a dream that isn't really attainable, because it just co-signs the whole aspect of like why you're not enough, and it's just a bunch of bullshit, because we are enough, and we are enough to enjoy the things we want to enjoy now, like not when I have this, when I do that, and we never do it.
Mr. Gunn, I had a dream of scuba diving. Took the classes, went on my first trip, and blew out my eardrums because I could not clear.
Oh my
Big
God.
bummer. But
my sister had a similar situation. they spent all this time up in Connecticut learning how to scuba dive in this pool. And then when they went to get their certification in Florida, it wasn't much under the water. And my sister, she got sick on the boat fumes. So like, I don't know whether she was just like hangover and then the boat fumes were coming. But
knowing your sister,
yeah. There's some qualifiers there. But she was just like, she never went back to it again. And the money that they spent on it was crazy, because you have to get all this equipment and but yeah, similar story.
Tammy,
but you live and you learn. You just got to keep doing stuff, and sometimes that's okay. You learned what you maybe doesn't work for you.
Yeah. Tammy, despite the losses and need to pivot, I never lost sight of the future. Never. I never moved on. I moved around and made steps forward. Sitting in grief is necessary and unavoidable. That's part of the process. Grief is part of the process. And some people go through grief quicker than others. For some, it can be crippling. I guess I still remember my losses are as horrible, tragic as they were, and as cliche as it sounds, made me who I am and brought me to Tom. There you go. Sometimes the path is twisted and hard, but you reach the place that is better than what is imagined.
Yes, that's how I feel.
I mean, I would. You know what I always say? If you could go back in time and change one thing, what would it be? Nothing. Because then I wouldn't be where I am now with who I am now, and I couldn't risk it. I would not risk not being here doing what I'm doing right now with the person I'm doing it with right now. If I went back and said, all right, maybe I won't respond to 9/11. Maybe I will resign that day. Then where would I be? I certainly wouldn't be happy with myself if I did that. Right? But 9/11 is what led to my Hodgkin's, and what led in the Hodgkin's and treatment of Hodgkin's led to my congestive heart failure. So and my stenosis in my shoulders, and it blocked carotid. So I mean, but then I wouldn't be here. And being here where I am right now is extremely important to me. So, everybody grieves a lot in their life. I think.
Well, what do they say? They say, no mud, no lotus. So, like, the lotus has to make its way up through the mud, up through the water in the lake. And then finally it's able to come into the sun and start to blossom and be these beautiful, brightly colored, gorgeous flowers, and you have to go through that to get the gorgeous flower pit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, yeah, we are the results of our years. And whether that is in part due to grieving or celebratory issues, it's your loves, it's your losses, it's what you've gained, it's what you've missed out on, but it all has brought you to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this point is a point that I would be terrified to risk.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, wisdom often comes with a cost.
Mm-hmm.
I think that some people forget that. Okay, especially the youth don't realize it yet. And sometimes as we get older, we forget that the reason why we have the wisdom we have is the experiences that brought us there.
Yeah.
Right? You can't expect a 12-year-old to have the life experience and wisdom of a 30-year-old, and you can't expect the 30-year-old to have the life experiences and wisdom of a 56-year-old, and you can't expect the 56-year-old to have the life experiences and wisdom of
the
an
80-year-old.
80-year-old. Okay, there's a reason why in AD&D your wisdom increased as you got older, but your physical stats decreased. Right? I mean,
Okay.
that was built in to the DMG. Gary put that chart in there. And it is, yes, as you get older, your body deteriorates, but you've gained wisdom. Your intelligence may suffer at some point, but the wisdom, it will only increase as you get older. But you have to allow yourself to experience life to have that wisdom. And experiencing life means the good, the bad, the gains and the losses.
Yeah, you can't just have the good, because then you don't. Then nothing is good.
Right.
Really.
You have nothing to judge it against.
Yeah.
And that's usually like we look at the extremely wealthy, especially those that are born into wealth. And sometimes, like, you read about their stories and you kind of go, where's their moral compass? I mean, it sounds all out of whack. Well, never had a chance to form properly. They never had that gain and loss. And
they never had to make those certain vital decisions.
Right.
Like,
or deal with results of those certain vital decisions. You know? I mean, I still remember being the, the young and stupid. I'll take a cash advance on my Visa card to pay my store card.
Oh.
Or even worse, the parents bought furniture on my store card. I'll only put half of that on my store card and pocket the other half. I'm still paying it at the end, but now with interest. You got to learn that stuff. Mr. Gunn, it's late. I'm gonna log off. Good show tonight. Glad you're doing better, Rach.
Thank you so much.
And God blesses everyone. Thank you, Tiny Tim. Oh my God. So we actually have our news channel over tonight. We went out to Friendly's before coming out here because I had to put my medicine.
He wanted to test, and so the alarm did go off.
It did go off.
And we'll leave that for like maybe every couple months or something.
I went 2 months. The ice cream was good. Forbidden chocolate with caramel and whipped cream and cherry, but only 1 scoop. Because you can live dangerously, but there's no.
But you can't live too dangerously.
Yeah. You don't have to commit diabetic suicide while you're at it, So. But it was good for a change. It was so tonight when we have our tea, I think we'll just have the tea and nothing with it.
Sure.
Sounds good. Oh, you had Tom had crunch wraps made by the eldest daughter.
Oh, that's yummy.
That sounds like a lot of fun. It really does. Well, as we stated earlier, a loss can be a loss of the expectations, all right? Like and I'm surprised I'm even saying this, but maybe you dreamt. Your dream was you were going to make $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million. You're going to make $1 million on some shenanigans, and then the shenanigans put you in the hole for potentially
in your face.
for $1 million, maybe more. right? So that's a tangent. That's um not getting the $1 million that you thought you were going to get. That's a loss, but it is not a tangible loss. You never had it. Okay, you never had it. You likely were never going to get it. It's
I
like,
mean, it's really that I don't know what to say about that. Is that like that's delusional, magical thinking?
well,
And
no, Rach, it is lottery thinking. Like, listen, why do people pay Powerball and Mega Millions? Because you got that.
but I can't live my life based on that shit.
Some people do. And then sometimes it just blows up in your face. So, Tammy, well, if you plan to have $1 million, you would make steps forward that were smart. Oh, you
Mm.
didn't. You've only yourself to blame. Well, sometimes, listen, we know this when it comes to our health, right? When it comes to being, it's not, it's at the easiest path is to lie about your health to yourself. Yeah, I did it when my neck swelled up
Yeah.
over lunch. Actually, I was on this side, and I had the goiter, and all I did was I took my shirt and for like 2.5 weeks. To the same friend that introduced me to gaming is now doing his residency. Said, "You know what? Why don't you go to my doctor? He takes the city
The
insurance,
GHI, yeah.
takes the city insurance, and you know what? You don't even need to make an appointment. You just walk into his office. He's open 4 afternoons a week." And I did, and got that ball rolling. Now, if I had waited longer, God only knows what the outcome could have been.
Yes.
But I was doing that magical thinking. I was telling myself, it's going to go away on its own. If what's going to happen, we lie to ourselves. Why do
Mhm.
we lie to ourselves? Because a lot of times, the only person that will believe our lies
Is us.
is us. Okay, it's the same kind of uh, mental exercise that I have to use if I am watching a police procedural on TV. Because 9 times, or the movies, 9 times out of ten,
They get it wrong.
I have to I'm watching it, and I
Mhm.
got to go. All
You
right,
just have to suspend your disbelief.
suspend your
Yes.
disbelief. Exactly, and then
Mhm.
usually I can enjoy the movie. Just kind of go. All right, I'll just pretend I didn't see them taking
Mhm.
evidence from a rape scene and putting it in plastic bags. I'll just pretend I didn't see that. I'll pretend I didn't see somebody racing across Manhattan to go 20 blocks in like 15 minutes during the middle of rush hour in an unmarked car. It ain't happening. It just ain't happening. But you can suspend your disbelief. The person that will believe you, the most easiest, if you're lying to anyone, is yourself. Because in the back of your mind, you're going, "Yeah, this shit doesn't sound right." But at the same time, you're going, "But it sounds so good if it's true," and then therefore you do it. That was Tammy's comment. I just didn't
Mm.
realize I'd already seen it. Yes, you have only yourself to blame.
Mm.
So on that note, I think we'll wrap. Uh, before my niece comes in behind us and starts making faces like, "Are you done yet?"
Or brings up the fart machine from your mouth.
Oh, jeez. All right. So and Rach is, by the way, that noise you're hearing in the background.
The crunch.
The crunch is the magnetic balls, because this is my little stress reliever, because I gotta play with the colorful magnetic balls to make myself feel better. It's how I deal with my stress. So, folks, as always, thank you very much. It was a
Mhm.
very lively live stream. Um, you know what? We live in interesting times. Isn't that the Chinese curse? Well, we live in interesting times. All right, folks. Is next week a fifth week? No, not for us. So the Saturday night live streams are weekly unless we're at a convention or some other weirdness.
A comedy show.
Yeah, Friday nights, because I do alternate nights. I do first and third with Glenn, and second and fourth with the random party generator. Fifth night would throw out the schedule all with the baby in the bathwater, so we just kind of leave it off. All right, folks. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll the dice, roll them well. Next live stream is Wednesday night. Alex Kammer, Game Hole, will be our special guest. And then the following weekend, Alex Macris, Ventura Conqueror King, following Wednesday, Ventura Conqueror King System. By the way, Chuck Dixon, who's been writing comic books based on Conan's public domain work, has licensed the comic books to Autark, the publishers of Adventure Conqueror King System. So that was just announced. I'll probably have to cover it on a video, and it should be good. Orb Codex, thanks for popping in, and I will wish you all good night. God bless. We'll catch you later.
Thanks so much. Take good care.
Laters.